Hey guys, it's El Misterioso Edgar, and welcome to episode number 12 of Let's Have a Chat podcast. Guys, we do have some technical difficulties on our remote chat today, but that is not going to ruin the overall experience that you're going to have today. Today, we talk about Vince McMahon's retired. Now what? But Triple H, as head of creative, what's going to happen next? Are we going to have some returns, some great matches, or is WWE doomed? We'll find out. Hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. It is me, El Misterioso Edgar, and I'm here with my good friend, Joel Garza. Joel Garza, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, man.
Good. What did you think about SummerSlam, by the way?
Hey, SummerSlam was awesome. The wrestling matches weren't extremely long. They were entertaining. They had all the things that you really want in a match.
Correct. We were able to watch SummerSlam this weekend, and man, what a show. So everybody at home, you're probably wondering, what are these guys doing right now? And we're just going to go ahead and talk about the future of the WWE now that Mr. McMahon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, is now retired at the age of 77 years old. And what a life, huh, Garza?
Oh, man. And this guy started from the very bottom, started as a commentator.
Yeah.
And went up to become CEO. His dad was the owner of the company originally, and then he like I said, he started from being an interviewer, backstage interviewer. Then he went to commentary. Then he went to the back scenes, and then he just went up all the way to CEO. When his dad entrusted him in the company, and he grew a multi-billion-dollar company, within a matter of half a century. I mean, he did an awesome job.
Yeah, what a life. I mean, hopefully our life is, great like that once we're 77 years old. But man, but before we jump into who is Vincent Kennedy McMahon, what he has done to the business, I want to start off this episode with some good news. I know the way things are lately, it's nothing but tragedies and bad stuff happening in the news. But hey, hopefully this clip, brings a smile to your face. So I am in goodnewsnetwork.org. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the story of 7-year-old Messiah who saved a drowning 3-year-old all on his own. And just to give you a little brief information of what's happening here. So they were at the apartment complex, and according to Messiah, he said, I was just playing in the pool, and then I saw a boy at the bottom of the pool. Messiah, a second-grade student, told Good Morning America, and I want to go get him. Can you believe that, Garza? A 7-year-old, man, with that instinct to go save somebody drowning. How amazing is that, man?
I know. I give props to the parents, for teaching them good standings, how to really treat people in the world, because I mean that could have been anyone. I mean, his brother, it could have been anyone, but it was just a normal stranger, and that's actually amazing that people in the world still do a lot of good.
It's one of those miracles that sometimes it bypasses the news. So that's why I decided to start off this episode with just something hopefully bring a smile to your face. And I'm for sure going to tell my friends and family of what I just read today. But Vincent Kennedy, man, I mean, let's talk about when was the first time you saw Mr. McMahon, and when you're like, oh, this guy, when was the first time you were like, whoa, this guy is more than just, the CEO of the WWE. Do you remember which pay-per-view or which show?
I don't know. I don't remember what show that I thought he was more than just a commentator. Like I said, I remember in the early 90s, very, very early 90s, maybe even 80s, he was out there on the commentary. Like I said, he was out there, and I read a lot about him, because once he became the CEO of the multi-million-dollar company, because before it became $1 billion company, it started as $1 million company, and then I saw him as, somebody that was a commentator, and he did his job like to the fullest. The guy really enjoyed his work, you could tell, and he did interviews still backstage, as a commentator. He did do some backstage scenes and interviews in the ring and stuff like that. And once I didn't see him on the show anymore, I was like, man, what happened to that guy? Like he was a great commentator. And then all of a sudden you see him coming back and they start the Monday Night Wars. And so at that point, when him and his family were starting the Monday Night Wars, I don't know if a lot of people are too familiar with it. It's WCW and WWF at the time, because it was called World Wrestling Federation before it was called World Wrestling Entertainment. So when I started seeing the Monday Night Wars come out, is when I started seeing him more as the leader of the company. And I don't know when exactly, because I didn't even get to, I didn't get to understand when he became the CEO or when he became the lead of WWE. But or I don't recollect what year it was. But I know that he came out and he was starting the Monday Night Wars, and at that time WCW started struggling financially, because of all the financial situation that was going on in the world. And it started struggling, and then eventually he acquired them. I know Shane McMahon was one of the owners of WCW at one time, and after that, Vince McMahon just kind of acquired WCW, and they collaborated the organizations together. So, in sense, ended the WWE and the WCW war. Monday Night Wars, they just collaborated and they joined together, and that's why it became a multi-billion-dollar company shortly after.
Yeah, and it's all about taking that risk. Again, I know, was that when you started watching pro wrestling back in the Monday Night Wars? Maybe some.
I started watching it a little before that. I remember the Ultimate Warrior. Being a little kid, I was maybe 6-7 years old, staying up watching WCW. WCW with my dad. So that was my first original wrestling is WCW. And then when I started watching the Monday Night Wars with WWF, that's when I actually got introduced to WWE is during the Monday Night Wars, because I didn't know that there was another wrestling organization out there. And so my friends, kind of in elementary, were telling me, "Hey, have you seen this other wrestlers and this and that?" And I was like, "What other wrestlers? What are you talking about?" So they go, "It's on this channel." So it was a totally different channel, same time slot, which was very hard because, back in the day, there's no DVRs or stuff like that. So you had to flip one channel, then the other channel, the other channel, the other channel, just to see what's going on and try to keep up. And so it was kind of intense to watch the WCW and WWF at the exact same time. So it was actually a great opportunity for them to war it out. And so it was very smart of Vince McMahon to actually show up and do the shows that he did, and the mastermind that his mind had to create all those matches and make it excel more than WCW, and that was WCW was my first original wrestling show to watch. So I saw it from, like I said, the Ultimate Warrior, all the way, from like 6 years old all the way until now. I still watch it, almost religiously every day. I mean, every week I watch it, and again, life gets busy sometimes, so DVR is a savior. Because I'm not, back in the day, we had to put a VCR and then the tape and record and, watch it afterwards. But, for the most part, I mean, now it's, I guess the wars now is WWE and ECW and AEW. So I think it's pretty good, man. I mean, Vince McMahon is such a great mastermind to bring his company to what it is now. And to have him retire, oh man, that kind of hit a lot of people because we thought he was going to be there forever.
I like that. I like how you mentioned ECW because I think at one point, ECW versus WWE was the thing, and that'll be another episode for another day. And you mentioned the Monday Night Wars. I kind of had the same thing with TNA, because when TNA was happening, WWE was also happening, and the greatest thing that came out of TNA was the phenomenal AJ Styles, who is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. These guys don't think they are, but everybody at home or wherever you're watching. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about AJ Styles? Is he the greatest pro wrestler in the world? Let me know in the comments down below. But yeah,
I mean, he is phenomenal. I mean, he is. He does. He can bring up a lot of talent that doesn't have as much skills as he has. I mean, he is a great performer. He does his craft, awesomely. But I don't think he's the greatest of all time. I don't know about that. But I think that conversation would have to be for another episode, because I mean, I know that there's some great ones out there, and he's one of them. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's not, but he's great because he brings up new talent, and he knows how to make them shine, and all the moves that he does. I mean, I'm saying that he's phenomenal, but I wouldn't say that he's the greatest wrestler.
Yeah, again, that's another episode for another day. But when it comes to me, the first time that I saw Vince McMahon, it was in 2006, when he was feuding with the D Generation X, and that's when I started seeing who Vince McMahon is. And those of you, Contreras probably saw a lot of him like in the Attitude Era with him versus Stone Cold. But that's when I started seeing Vince McMahon not only as the CEO of the company, but an actual wrestler. And he did a lot of things that made you hate him, and especially if you had like a boss you didn't like or something like that. Seeing Triple H, seeing Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold beat up Vince McMahon was something that everybody wanted to see. Whether it was on a Monday Night Raw or on a pay-per-view. And so I was still watching. That's when I started first watching wrestling in 2006. It wasn't until I saw WrestleMania 22 at the mall. I bought the 3-disc set of WrestleMania. I think it had 2 discs and like a bonus CD. That's when I saw Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon. And then I think it was a no DQ match. And that was an amazing match if you haven't seen it already. Have you seen that match already?
Yeah, I have. And I actually watched it on pay-per-view. So, I mean, back in the day, we had to pay for all those pay-per-views, and it was like $20, $30 pay-per-views. So I remember watching every single WrestleMania that I could. Of course, when WWE Network came out, I watched all the ones that I didn't watch before. I watched them in their entireties, and man, what a great platform that they had when the WWE Network came out. And then now it's on Peacock. And so, again, the mastermind of Vince McMahon, how to create more money. Well, he started off his own website, WWE.com. It was first WWEshop.com. Then it started with all the episodes and everything on the actual website. So you had to pay a membership fee. So it brought in, a lot of money or a lot of revenue. Then I guess he kind of figured out that it's hard to have the technical team to keep up with the website. And so he kind of now gave that process over to Peacock, and he's still making money off of it because, I mean, he has a royalty of it, and a lot of us people that have Peacock, we know the phenomenal programs that come out on it. And in order to have WWE, especially the pay-per-views every single month that we watch it, you have to subscribe to it. You have to have a subscription. And so I think he, again, mastermind. He knew his work. He knows the business, man. He knows how to make money out of nothing. And so I saw that match. Great match. Again, highly recommend to watch. Of course, anytime that he's on the ring, man, you know that there's going to be something good happening. Of course, towards the end, he was just more of a voice. Before his retirement was announced, he was more just a voice instead of being somebody that was really causing a big commotion. He was just more promoter at that time. I thought of him at the end as more of a manager instead of being a CEO. Because he wasn't making a lot of decisions up front. I mean, what boss does make it up front? I mean, you go to any school, you don't see the principal making the calls up front in front of everyone, but you do see, their workers do their jobs correctly and all that. But I know back in the day he was more vocal, and he would come out and he would make the matches official. Even when he had the managers of Raw and the manager of SmackDown, he would still come out and still make some matches and make it, entertaining. But yeah, I do remember that during the Attitude Era and stuff. So I mean, that was great when he would feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday. Stone Cold would drive in with those beer trucks and just splash Vince McMahon, or even he would come out with a Zamboni and then jump over the guards and attack Vince McMahon. I mean, that the stuff that guy came up with, and then on the fly most of the time, because sometimes he would start the show and he'll have the whole script and everything done, and then of a drop of a dime he would just come up with something new, because he'll think of something that's going on during the night, and he would come up with something on the fly, and he would change things in the back, and that's what was great about him, because he wasn't just okay, I'm the owner and the CEO of this company. I have you guys to take care of this company, and I'm going to sit back and get all my money. This guy was part of the creative team. I mean, he was, the guy. I mean, he wasn't just one of those kick back and get all this money, rich, everything kind of guy. He was a hands-on kind of guy. And that's what made me, like, I drove to kind of do the same thing, I'm not a delegation kind of guy. I'm more of a let's get in their trenches and do this kind of guy too. And so, I mean, just the way he presented himself and the way he brought his company out, I mean, I just think it's freaking awesome.
And I like the fact that you mentioned that he was hands-on. And just keep in mind, although he might be the pro wrestling guru that he is, you have to surround yourself with people that you can trust, people that are going to deliver that high-quality content day in, day out, not only in, the U.S. area, but, again, we're talking worldwide, baby. So, again, let's always keep that in mind. And I like the fact that he was able to be on the show, on the pay-per-views. And I don't know if you've heard stories, but towards the end of the career, they would finish the script, and he'd be like, no good. And they would, like, tear it up, or they would have to start brand new, like, at 5 o'clock. I mean, that's what they said, but who knows? But, and according to people that have met him or that have worked for him, he just has this aura around him, this, this energy, this vibe of like, this guy is more than just a human, this guy is something else. And I think he was on the cover of Body Fitness, or I forgot the name of the magazine, fitness magazine, lo que sea. And man, he looked insane with that chain around him. I mean, he looked like an animal. And I think to this day, he works out like maybe at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And, he's still keeping at it, man. So, again, he is not human. He is not human. But he's had some good wrestling matches. WrestleMania 22, the spot that I remember, Shawn Michaels on top of the ladder and doing that elbow drop while Vince McMahon was inside that trash can. And, I mean, I don't know about the bosses that you've worked with, but I don't think any of our bosses would ever, put ourselves in that situation where they're putting their own life at risk. And it just shows you what Vince McMahon was able to do in order to deliver a high quality content for the viewers at home.
Yeah, it was, like I said, this guy was very hands-on. I mean, he brought himself into the into the storyline. I mean, he put himself out there, and that's what people will always remember him as. Somebody that put his own body, his own health at risk. And then in front of his kids a lot of the time, his kids were always there with him. Shane McMahon was always there in the business. Stephanie McMahon was a big part of the business, especially in her younger days. She had some storyline with Triple H at one point, and to have his own daughter out there and getting, I guess, belittled, I guess you could say, in front of the whole world. Was kind of not only just him, again, his family, the dedication to his family. And I give that props, because not every father wants their daughter out there being talked to the way that he did. I mean, and and to have his son out there, getting beat up and stuff, doing all those high risk moves that he does. I mean, phenomenal man when it comes to that creative part of it. And then again, like you said, it all, you have to surround yourself with people that you trust. I mean, those wrestlers, they again, they're entertainers. They do a lot of moves that yes, they're calculated, but they have a lot of high risk to it. So, like you said, Shawn Michaels jumping off the ladder onto the trash can, hitting it just right so it wouldn't crush his chest. It does still hurt. I mean, no matter how how much you practice at, it's going to hurt. Just seeing all the brutality, seeing Vince McMahon in pay-per-views cut up, on the show just cut up, bleeding, just bleeding profusely. It was such an eye opener when he was in some of the storylines of how much of a brilliant guy he came out to be. Because again, he wasn't scared to really take chances. He wasn't scared to do a lot of the insanity stuff that he did.
And like I said, it just comes with that mindset. You're not only a billionaire, you're a fitness, guru. You're putting your children in the show itself. So that right there shows you that he is serious about the business. And again, once you're passionate about the business, I mean, there's nothing you can't do. Looking at people like Bad Bunny, Logan Paul. I mean, these are people that are so passionate about the business, and they're creating magic in the ring. And I don't know what you're talking about, Garza, but pro wrestling is real, man. It's not scripted. It's not this. It is real. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. It is real.
Well, it is. No. It is scripted. It is scripted. However, it's not fake, man. It's not. There's no way to fake that stuff. There's none whatsoever way to fake the hits that they do, the bumps they do, the actual jumping out of the ring, onto each other. There's no way to fake all that stuff. I mean, there's no, I guess, no computer animation in there. There's, man, when they hit each other, they hit each other. Yes, they do it in a protective way, so there's not so much bodily injury, but there is bodily injury. I mean, taking those bumps on the mat itself, it's a padding on top of wood. So you're hitting wood, and then you have, of course, the springs and everything on the bottom of the ring. But yeah, I mean, you're hitting essentially just wood with a little bit of tiny padding on it. It's not even enough to really take a lot of the force out of it. You're going to hit, especially from the top ropes. The top rope hit bumps that you take is not going to be easy. You're going to hit hard on wood, essentially on the bottom of the ring. It's wood, so it's going to hurt. There's no way to fake any of the stuff they do. I don't take anything away from these guys. Man, the dedication of their bodies. I mean, look at all the wrestlers that got injured in the past. From Kurt Angle, his neck injury. Big E right now is injured with his neck. And it's just, again, it's scripted, but it's not fake. These guys, when they throw each other, I mean, you're landing on your own body weight and the momentum and everything. Physics comes into play, and you're a big guy. You're going to hit a lot harder than you would as a little guy, So essentially, Bobby Lashley's going to hit a lot harder on the ground than AJ Styles is going to hit, because I mean, it's not fake, man. That stuff is intense, and the training they have to go through months of training before they even can get a chance to get on the mic, or even a chance to get in the ring, at the Performance Center. A lot of these people, I mean, that's a great thing that Vince McMahon created, is the Performance Center, because now you got to train, you got to learn the basic and get there. Because I mean, I don't think there's any other huge corporation. I don't think AEW has a Performance Center. I don't think TNA has.
I think AEW, they have like AEW Dark, and I know they have like their own like, and I don't think it's an NXT type of thing to be honest with you, but I think they have like their own system where they might have like matches in AEW Dark and then like go up the ranks of like finally showing up in AEW Dynamite. Pero again, surrounding yourself with the team, you have Triple H running NXT for a good while. And because of, Triple H and what he's doing, we were able to get, not only local indie wrestlers, but you were also getting a homegrown talent. And, a good example of a homegrown talent would be somebody like Baron Corbin, who I think is one of the best heels in the business right now. That's somebody who started, he was in the NFL. We had that match with Pat McAfee, Indianapolis Colts. They started together, and then Baron Corbin went to NXT, and he's doing a great job. Great moveset, good on the mic, good character, and it just shows you surrounding yourself with people who know the business, who are passionate about the business, is going to make WWE run for many, many, many years. And speaking about running WWE for many, many years, the big question is what's going to happen next now that Mr. McMahon has been retired. So I don't know have you thought of something? If not, I'm more than happy to jump in, and talk.
I think that right now a lot of the bridges that were burnt in the recent history of WWE, I think a lot of those are going to be mended and for the good. I mean, I think now that Vince McMahon is not there, man, I don't know. It's going to be kind of hard because, yes, there's good talent out there, but financially, this guy, again, was a guru when it came to business. So he knew his stuff, what he needed to do. So I don't know if anyone has that finance repertoire that Vince McMahon would have. I mean, I know that a lot of us are hoping that old wrestlers come back and for the good. I mean, we did lose a lot because of the monetary thing. We did lose a lot of great wrestlers, to AEW, to TNA, and things of that sort. So I think now that some of these bridges are going to be mended and stuff, I think we can move forward and maybe even bring some of that old talent back to make the shows what they are. Again, you don't want to. I think Vince McMahon's mindset is, I don't want too much of a good because it could be bad. Because you're having all these phenomenal names, all these great name wrestlers, that he created. He created a lot of these people, and I don't think it's going to be a good idea for them to bring every wrestler back. I think it would be a good idea to bring some of them over, or some of them back from a different company, or even bring them back from, I guess, not retirement, but like for them doing, other stuff. And I think that's gonna happen pretty soon. The people that I would really like to come back would be the women's tag team champions. I mean, Sasha Banks and Naomi. I think that it was a big fiasco that happened. I think that they did it the wrong way. And I do agree that they did have to have some kind of disciplinary action done to them. But as far as the way they went around it, I don't think that was a way to do it. I mean, the way to do it is essentially do what they required. I mean, not all of us agree with our bosses, but we do what we have to do to get our job done. And then, we come back and say, hey, boss, you know what? I think that it was a poor choice. Maybe let's try it this way another time. Or whatever. And Vince McMahon always had an open door policy, man. I mean, he always did. He would listen to his talent. He wouldn't take every recommendation they would have, but he would listen at least to them. And the way that Naomi and Sasha Banks did it, and say, no, I'm not going to even perform for you. We're relinquishing our titles, back. But I think that Vince McMahon didn't want to take a lot of stuff from anyone. So he was very set in his ways. And if you really mess with him, he was going to get back at you some way or another. And I hope that now that Triple H is in charge, because now Sasha Banks and Naomi both have a good rapport with Triple H. Hopefully, him talking to them and explaining to them what's going on. I'm hoping that he brings them back, man. I mean, honestly, I think that there's some other good names out there that could be brought to us, like Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is phenomenal.
Amazing.
That guy, I think, would excel in WWE.
I don't know about that one, man. He's doing great in AEW. You know, he's one of the founders of AEW. And one day, who knows? You know, we got Cody Rhodes. You know, how great is that? You know how great. Yeah, how great it was bringing Cody Rhodes back, and it was one of those people that you didn't think was going to come back. And again, who knows? Was it McMahon? Was it Triple H? Was it, man? Who knows? But hey, we have him in WWE. And just to clear something out there, we're not WWE like, you know, all the way. You know, we are open to watching AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. We, you know, Garza, myself, Contreras, you know, all of our friends that watch it. We're a fan of the product. You know, we're not just WWE. We're not just, you know, this and that. And it's all about loving the business and it's all of the business. And I like how you said that Sasha and Naomi might come back now that Vince McMahon is gone. Did they have to do that? Who knows? But they made an impact. People are talking about them. Whatever they're charging at these conventions, it's skyrocketed because people want to know, hey, are you going to come back? What happened? Why did you leave? And they were saying because they were the way they were booked. But again, we don't know. We're not behind the curtain. We don't know what's happening. But they left for a reason, and that's great for them. They did whatever they needed to do to be happy. Because if you're not happy with your job, yes, you can't just walk out. But if they're not listening to you, maybe they come back and they're like, look, like you said, I apologize. You know, we shouldn't just have left. And because even Michael Cole, remember, I think they told him, like, hey, say this, you know, they have let down the business, they did that, they did this, they did that. And then when Brock Lesnar left that Friday, and I got this from Cultaholic, they're on YouTube, they're great, awesome people, if you guys haven't checked them out. They said that how come they didn't do that to Brock Lesnar? How come they're like, oh, Brock Lesnar left, he has let down the business, yada, yada, yada. But that's what I think. I 100% agree with you that they might come back now that Triple H is not only the CEO of the company, not CEO, head of talent relations and head of creative. You know, people are more open to talking to Triple H because he's a man. He loves the game. But as far as what I think is going to happen now that Vince McMahon is gone, I feel we're going to have more of a natural characters in the program. And we had a good example of Drew McIntyre. Remember when he cut that promo in SummerSlam? That was all him, yes. You know, maybe, but it sounded like it was him. He was such a lovable guy, and when he interacted with the kid, I was like, I don't think that was in the script. You know, I think they're just like, hey, go out there, do what you got to do, be yourself, and I think that's what these wrestlers need, because I've seen promos that are like, that's not right. Good example, Roman Reigns, and when he had the Beanstalk promo with the Big Show, okay, you gotta climb the Beanstalk, and you know, say, okay, and suckering succotash, and all these other things that he would say. It just seems very, very forced. And you know, now we see a great example of Roman Reigns of how of a natural heel he is. That's him, man. That's his natural character. And I think in 5-10 years, what's gonna happen in the business, we're gonna be in the moment where we have the technology to put Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, you know, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in the ring versus AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. You know, can you imagine? Welcome to WrestleMania 50, where we have Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Seth freaking Rollins, and you know that's on the card, man. I think we're gonna reach that one day. I think that's gonna be the future of pro wrestling, where we have these computer generated, you know, figures against, you know, the talent nowadays. Maybe they can use like a green screen, like a green suit, those suits, remember those? Like the motion activated suits, and they're fighting them, but like they put the screen and it's like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or like Ric Flair. Ooh, how crazy would that be?
That would be freaking awesome. But I mean, there's nothing like the real live.
I'm not crazy. People, you're man.
Crazy.
I mean, but I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I mean, Ric Flair. I mean, you brought him up. I mean, he has that match with Andrade, and you know, I mean,
Jeff
that was,
Jarrett,
I don't know if you
Jerry
saw that, but
Lethal,
I mean, it was great match, man. I mean,
great. I wouldn't say great.
again, it was Vince McMahon's creativity. They kind of pushed him and excelled him. I mean,
Evolution.
evolution. So there was one of the original factions that Triple H was in. Of course, DX was his first, his first love, his first faction that he was in, and then it became Evolution with Batista and Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Triple H himself. Like creating that faction, and it was all the mastermind of Vince McMahon putting them on screen. I mean, and letting them run with what it needed to. I know old school Vince McMahon let a lot of the stuff go. Now that they went to the PG era, he had to hold back on a lot of the stuff that the performers were doing and saying and stuff. But now that they're out of that PG era category, now they're TV 14, or they're transitioning to TV 14. I think it's now that's the reason why that there's more ad lib to it instead of running it off of being forced to them saying certain things. I think it's all because of the programming settings that they went back to.
Well, I mean, hopefully we didn't go to how the program was back in the day, because I mean the female wrestlers weren't even wrestlers. They were just like restroom breaks. Oh, here comes Trish Stratus and Lita, and the people would go get their snacks, go to the restroom. Even though Trish Stratus and Lita were great wrestlers, as long as they keep the way female wrestling is now. You want them to say a couple of bad words just to get that aggressive promo, get the crowd going. Hey, awesome. Go ahead and do that. But again, just keep in mind that it's still TV. I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff happening in the Attitude Era, which I mean, I hope they don't bring back at all. These are human beings. Let's keep them. I mean, yes, they're playing a character on TV or pay-per-view, but again, they're so human. So hopefully, they don't bring anything too extreme. What do I want to see come back? I wouldn't mind seeing an Inferno match. I don't think we've seen a Buried Alive match in a good while. Blood matches, no, because I don't want them to cut themselves or anything like that. But, what other matches? I know maybe some Hell in a Cell, some more steel cage, just something more extreme. Maybe something that ends up happening like in the backstage area. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen them fight. I know Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns would have a good feud backstage in the ambulance. So maybe start bringing back those storylines. And something that was also mentioned, on Cultaholic, they were saying that now that Triple H is head of creative, now he's pushing wrestlers that he likes or he sees potential in, and that Omos was now like in main event. That's like C-level shows. So it just shows you once you switch the head of talent relations and head of creative who is getting pushed, and that's going to be a hard thing to do. You can't push all these wrestlers because, again, the Raw is only 3 hours, so it's going to be hard to make sure everybody has a storyline. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. As time goes on. I'll be excited what happens to that first pay-per-view, which I believe is Extreme Rules.
First of all, let me say thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode number 12 of Let's Have a Chat podcast with your host, El Misterioso Edgar. Guys, it is true. Vince McMahon is retired. Now the big question is, what happens next? And well, that's all up to Triple H, head of creative. Now, we might see some returns. We're going to see some great matches. But I know WWE is in good hands. Guys, like always, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. And like always, I hope you have a beautiful day. Appreciate you guys.